The skill I have chosen to learn for this project is spinning a basketball on the finger. This is a skill I've been eager to learn for a long time and is one I believe can be mastered within the 20-hour time constraint. The aim of the skill is to bounce a spinning basketball on the middle finger for an extended period of time. More energy can be applied to the ball by striking the ball with the opposite hand in the same direction that the ball is spinning. The primary concept of physics that enables this skill is centripetal force. Centripetal force is the force that makes an object follow a curved path and is directed towards the center of the object. Centripetal force acts on the ball as it spins in a circular motion, which allows the ball to stay balanced on one finger. The most widely used approach to performing this skill is to spin the ball and throw it in the air just above the height of the hand, catch the ball on the index finger, and strike the ball when it begins to slow down. According to dynamical systems theory, in this skill the performer is a complex system and as such incorporates numerous degrees of freedom. In line with this theory, the skill will initially be difficult and uncoordinated, but will improve as muscle synergies develop and functional linkages form. The aim when performing this skill is to develop an attractor state in which we can balance and spin the ball in a stable condition. Constraints that will influence the performer will be individual, environmental, and task constraints. Individual constraints will include factors such as technique, hand strength, and previous experience. An individual with previous exposure to basketball may perform this task with less difficulty as they will be more used to holding and spinning a basketball. In a similar way, an individual with greater hand and finger strength will be able to spin the ball faster, leading to increased centripetal force. Environmental constraints will be limited to simply the gravity acting upon the ball. Task constraints will be used to ensure consistency between attempts and will be manipulated to achieve the greatest learning outcome. The task constraints for the program will be as following. Size 7 basketball is used. Aim, the basketball continuously is spun for 15 seconds. The basketball is balanced on one finger. Basketball is spun in a clockwise direction, and 20 successful attempts must be made to progress to the next stage. The training program will start with stage 1, rotating the basketball back and forth in one hand. In this stage, the performer will learn to control and rotate the ball in one hand. A successful attempt will be marked as rotating the ball in one direction without dropping it. Stage 2 will be spinning the basketball and catching in one hand. In this stage, the performer will learn to spin the basketball in the air in a stable motion. A successful attempt will be marked as spinning the ball in uniform motion and catching the ball with one hand. Dropping the ball or spinning the ball in an uneven manner will not qualify as a successful attempt. Stage 3 will be spinning the basketball with two hands and catching in one hand. The performer will learn to now spin the basketball with using two hands to generate more speed on the ball. A successful attempt will be marked as spinning the ball in uniform motion and catching the ball with one hand. In stage 4, the performer will be spinning the basketball, touching with one finger and catching. The performer will learn to spin the ball, balance on one finger for a brief period of time. The performer may spin the ball with one hand or two and attempt to balance on the finger for no longer than 1 second. A successful attempt will be marked as bouncing the ball while spinning in a uniform motion for 1 second. Stage 5 is spinning the basketball and holding on one finger for as long as possible. In this stage, the performer will learn to balance the ball while spinning for an extended period of time. A successful attempt will be marked as balancing the ball while spinning for 3 to 5 seconds. Stage 6 is spinning the basketball, holding on the finger, and then striking the ball to accelerate. The performer will learn to strike the ball to continue and accelerate the motion of the ball. Mastery of the skill will be marked as balancing the ball while spinning on the finger for 15 seconds. 20 hours of practice will be given to learning the skill. The following clips show the progression of stages through the training program. In session 1, I performed stage 1 and 2 of the training program. I performed stage 1 for approximately 5 minutes, performing the task successfully and constantly. Consequently, I progressed to stage 2 of the program and performed this task for the remainder of the training session. At this stage, the ball could easily be spun in the air, but the ball was often not being spun in a uniform manner. In session 2, I performed stage 1, 2, and 3 of the training program. Stage 1 and 2 served as a useful warm-up for performing the skill. After 2 minutes of performing stage 1 successfully, once again I progressed to stage 2 of the program. After around 10 minutes of practice, stage 2 of the program was being performed successfully with uniform spin on the ball. I progressed to stage 3 of the program, where I attempted to now spin the ball with 2 hands. This stage was performed for the remainder of the training session with moderate success. In session 3, I performed stages 1, 2, and 3 of the program for 10 minutes with great success and consistency. Stage 4 of the training program was now progressed to. Stage 4 brought great difficulty and significantly reduced the rate of learning. Initially, the one-hand approach to spinning the ball, as learnt in stage 2, was used. However, it was quickly found that the two-hand method learnt in stage 3 was much more effective. The two-hand spin enabled greater speed to be generated on the initial spin, creating a higher centripetal force. The fundamental issue faced in this stage was the ball landing on the finger off center. When the center of the ball did not land on the finger, it would quickly fall and the ball was not caught in a controlled manner. In session 4, I performed stage 3 of the program for 5 minutes as a warm-up, then continued practicing stage 4. Difficulty was once again faced in the beginning when attempting this skill. However, after 10 minutes of practice, the ball was landing more centrally and being caught in a controlled manner. This skill was practiced for the remainder of the session. In session 5, I once again performed stage 3 of the program for 5 minutes as a warm-up and quickly began stage 4 again. The skill was now being performed at much higher success rate and with far greater consistency. Hence, stage 5 was now progressed to. In the beginning, the ball would not spin for longer than a second before falling. In this stage, the effect of the ball landing off-center was exemplified. Additionally, the added challenge of balancing the ball was introduced. However, by the end of the session, multiple attempts were achieved when the ball spun for around 3 seconds. In session 6, stage 3 was performed for around 2 minutes as a short warm-up, and stage 4 was also performed for around 10 repetitions. Stage 5 of the program was now continued, with the aim of the session to increase the length of time the ball was spinning on the finger. Attempts where the ball would spin for around 3 seconds were now more consistent. In session 7, stage 5 of the program was continued, showing similar success to the previous session. In session 8, stage 5 of the program was continued, now showing slightly longer spin times and greater consistency. I began to notice that the ball would now often fall by means of losing speed, therefore losing centripetal force. Stage 6 of the program was now progressed to, whereby the ball was hit to add speed and prevent greater deceleration. This stage was met with great difficulty, as every time the ball was hit, it would fall off the finger. Many attempts still did not last long enough for me to attempt this skill. In sessions 9 and 10, stages 5 and 6 of the program continued, showing slightly greater success than the previous session. The number of attempts had to spin the ball was greatly increased, however the same issue was being faced when striking the ball. After being struck, the ball would often fall less than a second later due to being hit off-center. The training program was very successful in the initial stages, however progress significantly slowed down in the later stages of the program. The initial stages were progressed through quickly as attractor states were quickly achieved. I believe the program was designed appropriately as degrees of freedom were slowly added throughout the stages. Constraints were effectively implemented to assist the learner progress through the stages. The ball spin was first learnt independently, then the balance on the finger, then the ball strike. However, if I was to implement this program again, I would include a training stage where the learner develops the ability to center their finger on the ball. I faced great difficulty in the 4th and 5th stage of the program as too many degrees of freedom were added at the same time, centering the ball, catching it and balancing it. Similarly, a stage to learn the ball strike in a more controlled environment would be useful. Ultimately, the skill was not able to be achieved in the amount of time devoted to training. However, the time given to the skill only comprised of 10 30-minute sessions rather than the full 20 hours outlined in the initial program. I believe if the full 20 hours was used to learn the skill, it would be able to be achieved. The progress I made in 5 hours of practicing the skill is accurate to where I predicted when designing the program. Mastery of the skill was not achieved due to not completing the full 20 hours of the training program. Additionally, constraints could have been imposed on certain stages of the program to aid learning. If these measures were implemented, attractor states would have been developed and the skill could have been mastered.